Microphone, okay. All right, here we go. Honor stats. This is your Chapter 1 test review. All right. I can, let me pause for one. So, our first scenario on tomorrow's test deals with which technique for gathering data do you think might be the most appropriate for the following? Sampling, experiment, simulation, or census? Notice I didn't give you specific examples. I wanted to give you like a scenario per se. I said in this first one, there are a lot of people and you have to find out about a variable like sleeping habits. Do you really want to talk to every single person, or would you want to do a sample? This is an example of a sampling. So obviously you're going to have an exact example on Tuesday. Just read it and understand. You apply a treatment to the sample and sometimes use a placebo. So you'll see, I'm going to test a drug for stomach ulcers. I'll give some people the stomach ulcer medicine and some people a placebo. Even if they don't use a placebo, ladies and gentlemen, if there's a treatment involved, it's an experiment. It's too difficult or expensive to do an observation or experiment. This is a simulation. Again, it's going to be an example. Oh, I got to check the teeth size of Adirondack bears in the no, maybe I don't want to do that. I don't want to run up to the bear and it's expensive. We have to, drug them and, go count the number of teeth, and we'll do a simulation instead. And finally, you need to survey everyone, like when you want to find the average weight of a football team. That's a census. So if you think about it, you can't just go, all right, I'm going to choose 4 Miami Dolphin players and weigh them, and that's going to be the average weight of their team. No. You're going to take every single player from the kicker to the defensive lineman, put them all together, add up their weights, and divide, and that's a census. Okay? Second scenario. You're going to name the sampling strategy in each. It can be a simple random, a cluster, stratified convenience, or systematic. I will give you a scenario just like this. Now this scenario is going to be used multiple times, not just for the second scenario, but the third scenario and so on. And it says this. A stats teacher wants to know how her students feel about an introductory statistics course. She decides to administer a survey to a random sample of students taking the course. She has several sampling plans to choose from. Here's the first scenario. Remember, all the answers are up here. There are 4 ranks of students taking the class: freshmen, sophomores, juniors, and seniors. She's going to randomly select 15 students from each class. Ladies and gentlemen, stratified. Each one of those are strata, very straightforward. This one, we're going to randomly select 10 math class selections and survey every student in those sections. This is a cluster, right? The 10 math class are a cluster. Remember, 10 math sections are representative of all the math sections. Why? Because they have math students in them. And every student is the census that is involved with the cluster. The next one, each student has a 9-digit student number. Randomly choose 60 different 9-digit numbers and survey the students that correspond to those numbers. Simple random. Simple random. And the last guy. Randomly select a number from 1 to 5. Using the class roster, start at that number, then select every 5th student from the list after that. And guys, that is Systematic. Excellent. Notice this example says, if the teacher in the previous scenario simply decided to survey all of her students, what type of sampling would this be? She's just going to choose her students. That's convenience. And if you remember, if you go back to the next page, that was one of the 5. So this is an example of convenience. Now, the explain. This is big, guys. This is big. Why? Because you almost get to kind of choose what's going on. And what should be in your head is an overestimate or an underestimate. Got it? Over or under. Let me explain this in a little bit of detail first. If she teaches a high-level math class, that probably means that her students in that class like math. Do you agree? Yeah, I mean, you get into the honors Calc 6, you're probably gonna go into some math down the road. So if that's the case, and notice this is an if. I'm giving you these scenarios so that you can use. So if all of those students like math and she's in this high level, most of them will answer favorably that they like the intro stats class, right? They'll be like, oh yeah, man, I like that stats class because I love math. Therefore, you would get a what? An overestimate, an over coverage. If you want to write about that, write about that. Now, in my mind is under coverage, right? An underestimate. What class is the teacher teaching? A regular class. These students love other subjects than math, and they're probably going to say, one of them likes the introductory to stats course. You know, see what I'm saying? And that's not a true representation of all the students. So notice when you do convenience, there will be a convenience bias. Some questions are either or. Some will narrow it down to it's going to be an over or under. Okay, so you have to read it very, very carefully. With this one, she may teach a high-level class where all students like math and will answer more favorably. I.e., you'll get an over estimate. Remember, the guy in charge says, I want you to find out if people like this introductory to stats class or this particular math class. And the teacher says, well, I'm going to do a convenience sample. I'm just going to ask the students in my class. Okay? If you all like math, you're probably going to say, yeah, it's going to be a cool class. If you all hate math, you're going to say, no, it's a what? Bad class. Bless. All right, this next problem, this is where I can't get into too much detail. But I will talk a little bit about it. Scenario number 4, ladies and gentlemen. I'm going to tell you, when you get your test on Tuesday, please read the scenario carefully before you start the questions. The scenario will deal with trees planted in rows on a hill. Does everyone know what a hill is? Mm-hmm. Right? The trees are planted in rows. You have a hill with a whole bunch of trees on it. All right? I'm sure it's a big hill. There's a disease called blight that might be affecting these trees. In order to check for blight, the tree must be cut down, so a sample must be chosen. You don't want to cut all the trees down. It's not wise. You're going to cut a few trees down and see if it has blight. But in order to do so, you have to select a what? A sample, exactly. You have a whole bunch of sampling techniques. So obviously, there will be a question about a sampling strategy. Yes? I will explain it in words. I will type out, just like I did before with the other ones. You read it and say, oh, he's using this one. Okay? The farmer's using this one. Okay? And then I'll obviously ask you a question about it. If I say he sections it off into 4 different sections, what am I saying? If I'm saying, well, I can't get into the sections.
Yeah.
Yeah. Stratified and cluster. Clusters
on certain parts of it.
geographical. Clusters are geographical. All right. Stratified would be the row itself. If he chooses rows, each row is a strata. But if I do a section of land, that's a what? Cluster. The row is a strata. A section of land would be a cluster. So I need for you to, obviously, you know your strategies pretty well. I want you to be able to process which one is being used. You won't miss this one. It's pretty straightforward. It's pretty straightforward. But in it is what you were talking about with the, when Hannah was talking about, you know, do we get to choose what we want to write about with the convenience? Okay, this one's going to be one way. Okay? Move over. Now, there will be a question about undercoverage, overcoverage with that tree problem as well, okay, which you'll be able to see. With the tree question, I will also ask you this. Using the trees on the hill scenario, you will construct a simulation about how to randomly choose a sample of trees. Make sure you include all parts of a simulation. What digits you'll use, state those digits, either 0 to 9, 0, 0 to 99, etc. What, if you're going to omit anything, and then how the trees will be selected. So you'll have a tree question, okay? How about if I give you something similar? Ready? What if you have 375 people, and you must choose a sample of 10. Everyone got it? This is what I need to see. You will say you must use 3-digit numbers, 000 to 999. Being that there's 375, there are 3-digit numbers. And now you will use a random number table and find 10 numbers from 000 to 375. Whoops, I forgot something. Let me pause for 1 second. I forgot one important. Okay, I'm back. So you start with use the 3-digit numbers 00 to 999. Here's the most important thing. You are going to number people 001 to 375. Right? Person 1, person 2, person 3, person 4, correct? Okay? But you can't number them 1 to 3 because 001 means 1. Is that cool? Sorry about that. So think about it. You're using 3-digit numbers 00 to 999. I'm telling you that you're numbering people from 001 to 375. Now that thing, you are going to use a random number table and find 10 numbers from 001 to 375. You are going to omit 000 and 376 to 999. Those 10 numbers correspond to 10 people. So let me talk about this real quick. You have a question about this?
Yeah.
Good.
When we're doing random
I'm
number
gonna
table,
So let's reiterate. Let me change this to red just to make sure. You're going to choose or use 3-digit numbers from 00 to 999. All right, so now I know what numbers I'm using. Before I start, I'm going to number my 375 people, whether they line up in a line or we do it alphabetically, but we can number them 1 to 375, yes? Perfect. Now, I'm going to pull a random number table out, and we all know how to use it. And you're going to find 10 numbers from 001 to 375. And if you want to put in here, no repeats. Why? Because a repeated number is the same person. I actually kind of like that. Find 10 numbers from 001 to 375 with no repeating. When you're using your table, if you get to a number of 000 or any number from 375 to 999, you're going to omit it.
375.
To 376 to 999, apologies. And then those 10 numbers that you get will correspond to the 10 people that you're looking to choose, hence you have your sample. And now we will end up with find or name a lurking variable. Name a lurking variable and explain, okay? Let's look at this first guy. A study finds that more volunteers that show up after a natural disaster, the greater the damage. Does this mean that more volunteers are causing more damage to occur? And this is like a causation, so obviously there's a lurking variable involved. What is the lurking variable in this question? The size or severity of the natural disaster. So if you have a Category 1 hurricane, you have a Cat 1 hurricane, there's not that much damage and only a few volunteers come and help. I'm saying a few, but okay. If it's a Cat 5, a lot of volunteers show up and there's probably a lot of damage. So the volunteers don't cause the damage. The lurking variable is the size of the natural disaster, okay? And obviously you would explain it, okay? And lastly, ladies and gentlemen, a researcher finds that popcorn consumption and the amount of traffic accidents over the years is highly correlated. All right, that means more popcorn eaten, more accidents. Does this mean that a higher popcorn consumption is causing more traffic accidents? We know that that's not true, but what is my lurking variable in this example? What do you think will cause more popcorn to be eaten and more traffic accidents? And this, the one that I'm going to be giving you here in a second, if you get it, actually is one that will be used all the time when you do two obscure things, one dealing with an entity of food or whatever and some type of accident or shopping. What do you think? Let me pause for one. Population increase. Now, very weird. That's why I chose this one. Population increase. Ready? If there are more people, then what's going to be consumed more? Popcorn. If there's more people that are driving, that are out on the roads, there's going to be more what? Exactly. And that's what you, God bless you, that's what you want to write. Okay? It's weird, but think about it. I can do hamburgers and I don't want to go back to accidents. Hamburgers and
barbecues being bought.
What was that?
Barbecues being bought.
Barbecues being bought. Okay? So population increase, more burgers, more things being bought, etc. Okay? Now if you were going to explain this one, just give me the one area. Okay? If there's more people, then there's more popcorn being eaten, and if there's more people, all right guys, this is your test. Good luck. Remember, it's going to be on a Tuesday after a 3-day break. Be prepared. All right?